Hi, readers. Happy Monday. I hope y'all had a great weekend. I'm so excited to see you live Wednesday and Thursday, depending on what class period I have you, either at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. And like always, we have office hours Monday through Thursday from 2:40 to 4 p.m. I'm just changing this real quick on here so I don't forget. And then Friday it's from 11:30 to 12:50 p.m. And if you didn't know, that's be 11 a.m., not p.m. And like normal, we have our Friday flex days so that your teachers are here and open for you guys to support. So our learning target for today is students will be able to read a text and identify character traits. So today we're going to have a read aloud of a story called Popularity. And I want us to pay attention to the small details so that we can learn the character traits of the story that we are reading. So to think deeply about characters, we want to expect characters to be more complicated and show more than one character trait. So just like how I'm a teacher and a human being, and I might have like one character trait of one way to describe myself, there's going to be multiple ways how we can describe ourselves. And if we're not totally sure what character traits are, I have some examples here for different character traits. So let me go ahead and switch back real quick. But some character traits could be active, adventurous, affectionate, afraid, ambitious, anxious, argumentative, attentive, bewildered, bossy, brave, brilliant. And so there are ways in how we can describe people. And so just like how in our day-to-day life, how we can describe people we encounter or our friends and relationships, we want to be able to describe the characters that we're reading in the story. So today what we're going to do is we're going to dive into a new text called Popularity. And it's from a book called First French Kiss and Other Traumas. It's a really cool book. In my classroom, I normally have you guys all join me in the reading area and we read it together. But the title's kind of exciting and all of the kids were always like, oh my gosh, the title, French kissing, you. But yeah, so that's the title of the book. Please bear with me on that one. I didn't make it. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. And I want us to be thinking about how we would describe character traits. And I look like I just froze. Okay, hopefully that made me unfreeze. Cool. So the text is Popularity. Somewhere inside me, I knew that 10-year-old boys were not supposed to spend their recess circling oak trees in search of four-leaf clovers. Still, that's what I and my equally unpopular acquaintances, Alan Gold and Alan Shipman, were doing while the rest of our classmates played tag and kickball and pushed each other higher and higher on the swings. Aside from having a little more than our share of baby fat, the other two Adams and I had very little in common. In fact, we could barely stand one another. Still, during recess, we were the only company we had, so we tried to make the best out of it. Now and then, one of us would bend forward, pick up a clover, examine it, shake our heads, and let it fall to the ground. Got one, Alan Gold said. Let's see, Alan Shipman said. Alan showed Alan the clover. That's only 3. No, that's 4, right here, see? That's not a whole leaf, Alan Shipman said sourly. That's 1 leaf, 2 leaves, 3 leaves, 4 leaves. That's not a whole leaf. We'd been looking for 4-leaf clovers every school day for 6 months, and each one of us knew exactly what he would do if he found one. He would hold the lucky clover close in his hands, close his eyes, and wish that he was popular so he would never have to spend time with the other two again. You guys, I'm gonna take a second. When I'm reading this text, it kind of it hurts my heart a little bit when I'm thinking about these characters and what I'm reading. And I'm trying to think of how I would describe Will's character, the main character. And thinking about this one character trait when he's talking about these cloves and his friendship with the two, or not really friendship, his acquaintanceness, I guess, with the Allens. I'm wondering and thinking about almost like a bitter sensation. Um, yeah. It almost feels like bitter. But I'm not, I don't know. And something about it with when he's talking with the Allens, it sounds kind of bitter, maybe like sarcastic, like he has to hang out with them. And so I'm thinking about some of the characteristics, and I'm wondering maybe bitter or sarcastic. I'm not totally sure of which, to be honest. Yeah, I have to think about it. Yeah, I'm not sure. I could also see maybe like lonely, uncaring, maybe isolated, as I'm thinking about how he doesn't really enjoy the presence of the Allens. Yeah, so I have a couple. I'm not totally sure. I don't know. I'm gonna keep reading because I have a couple of ideas when I'm looking at this text so far. Yeah, I'm gonna just keep going. And I'm trying to think of evidence to prove in support or maybe not in support on how I would describe Will's character: bitter or sarcastic, uncaring or ruthless, clever or observant. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm gonna think about what Will says and what he does and what he's thinking as I keep going. Okay, let's just go. Got one, Alan Shepman said. Alan Gold swiped the clover from him. 1, 2, 3, he said, throwing it to the ground. There's 4 there. There's 4 cloves. Pick it up. You pick it up. You pick it up. You. While the 2 Allens faced off, I looked across the black tar and asphalt at the crowd of boys who were making more noise and seemed to be having more fun than anyone else in the playground. There were 4 popular boys. These were the popular boys. The center of this group stood there was Sean Owens. Sean Owens was the best student in the 4th grade. He was also one of the humblest, handsomest, strongest, fastest, most clear-thinking 10-year-old that God ever placed on this earth. Oh, wow. Sean Owens could run the 50-yard dash in 6 seconds. He could hit a baseball 200 feet and throw a football 40 yards. The only thing Sean didn't have was a personality. Oh, wow. He didn't need one. When you hit a baseball 200 feet and all you had to do was run the bases and wait for the world's applause. I gazed at Sean and the rest of the popular boys in the bewildered admiration. It seemed like only yesterday we had played kickball, dodgeball, and basketball together, and then one morning I awoke to find that this happy democracy had been devoted into a monarchy of kings and queens, dukes and duchesses, lords and ladies, and it did not take a genius to know upon the content of this playground. The 2 Allens and I were the stable boys. I had resigned to my rank for many months, but now looking at the 2 Allens, still arguing over the same leaf. Then back at the popular boys. I suddenly knew I could not stand another day at the bottom, and I wanted to be part of the noise and the laughter. No, I needed to be popular. So now that I'm looking at this evidence and I'm thinking as I'm reading on about the character traits and thinking about Will and the Adams, and especially when he talks about the whole like, what was it? Monarchy of kings and queens, dukes and duchesses, lords and ladies. He's really, he's taking us to like a whole different place. When I'm thinking about like being in middle school or even elementary school and like the popular kids and the not popular kids, yeah, he's really escalating the situation. So when I'm thinking and something I'm paying attention to is just how he has such a serious divide between him and the other kids. Hmm. Yeah. Okay, let's just keep going. Being 10 years old, I did not question this admiration, but I did wonder how on earth I was going to realize it. Though I only stood 20 yards from the heart of the kingdom, I felt 1,000 miles removed from the rank and prestige of its citizens. How could I bridge such a gap, knowing that I might be stared at or laughed at or belittled to a speck of so small that I could no longer be seen by the naked eye? As I stood by the playground, torn between fear and admiration, those 20 yards began to recede from view, and I knew that I must either step forward now or retreat forever to a life of bitter companies and three-leaf clovers. I took a deep breath and then, with a great admiration, crossed the 20 longest yards I'd ever walked in my life and found myself standing few feet outside the center of what I hoped would be my destiny. I lowered my head a little so as to not draw attention to myself, and watched and listened. Mitch Brockman, a lean, long-faced comic considered by many to be the funniest boy in the fourth grade, was in the middle of a story and had something to do with Tijuana and a Wienermobile. I wasn't sure what the story was about, but there was a lot of body English and innuendos, all of which the crowd seemed to find absolutely hilarious. I noticed that every time Mitch said something, he eyed Sean Owens to see if he was laughing. He was. Silently, his mouth was open, but the laughter of the other boys filled the silence. I realized that Mitch was Sean's jester. As long as he could make Sean laugh, he was assured a prominent position in the group. I wondered what my position in the group might be. I clearly wasn't a great athlete, student, or ladies' man, but I had a sense of humor. Maybe I could be the second funniest boy in the fourth grade. My thoughts went no further because the bell ending recess rang, but that night, just before I fell asleep, I saw myself standing in the center of the popular boys telling the funniest story anyone had ever seen. I saw Sean Owens doubled up with laughter. I saw myself triumph. I returned to the group every recess for 3 days. I stood unnoticed just outside the outer circle, waiting for my moment, for the one joke or wisecrack that would make me popular. I knew that I would only get one chance to prove myself, and that if I failed, I would be sent back to the stables so that a single-minded scientist and I would listen to the jokes the other boys had made, hoping to align my comic sensibility with theirs. Now and then I found myself on the verge of saying something, but every time I opened my mouth to speak, Mitch would launch into another routine. But my moment passed, and I had to resign myself yet another day in the dark. I did not know then that popularity has a lifespan, and that Mitch's time was about to run up. So today, readers, what I want us to think about is of course, we want to go back to our daily goal and think about how characters are complicated and show more than one trait. What I want us to do today is, for Schoology, I want you to go ahead and submit, what do you think is the most important character trait that Will is, that makes him up? And if you want to go back and think about the character traits that I have listed here, you can. Or if you can think of your own, go ahead and submit to Schoology. And then I will have a second video for today with the rest of our story of popularity. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you have a great day.